Hey painting friends, it's Stoof here. Welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to do an acrylic painting of this little sunrise here. So this is about a 40-minute tutorial for this cute little guy. So first we're going to go over materials and then get started with the tutorial. If you aren't subscribed to my channel yet, go ahead and hit that subscribe button so you don't miss out on fun painting tutorials like this guy. All right, painting friends, let's take a look at our materials for today. We have a disposable paper palette right here. On my palette, I'm using heavy-bodied acrylic paints. I'm using a variety of brands, so use whatever brand works best for you. We have titanium white, ultramarine blue, cerulean blue. This one's just called purple with this brand. It's more like a cobalt violet type of color. This is called red orange. This is alizarin crimson. This is like your primary red, maybe a slightly rosier red. Phthalo green here. This is light magenta, yellow orange, lemon yellow, and Naples yellow. So those are the colors I'll be using today to paint this little sunset. This is just a small 6" by 6" by 1.5" gallery wrapped canvas. For my brushes today, I have a bunch on here, but mostly we're going to be using this soft bristled synthetic flat tip brush and a liner brush to get a little bit of those ripples on the water. For some of the stuff going on in the sky, I'll use like a smaller flat tip brush that's been frayed slightly to get some of those little clouds in the sky and stuff like that. All right, let's dive in. To get started with this little tutorial here, I'm just going to dip my flat tip brush here in the water, and I'm just going to take a little bit of this light orange color, a little bit of ultramarine blue, and a little bit of red, and some white. And the goal here is to make like a type of a gray color. Maybe add a little bit of lemon yellow too. I don't want a color that's like super saturated. And by mixing those three primary versions of the primary colors together, you get more of like a neutral color. I'm gonna take a little bit of that blue too. All right, so I have like a pretty close gray actually to this palette. It's just slightly warmer. And I'm just gonna put in my little horizon line. And you're welcome to use a ruler here. Yeah, it looks close enough for me. You're welcome to use a ruler if you want a perfect straight line, but I'm more of like an eyeball it type of person, more of an organic feel to my painting, so that's what we did there. And then our sunshine is going to be in this general area where the sun is, so I'm going to leave that alone. We do not want to put any paint there. We want to leave the nice white canvas, but keep in mind, mental note, the sunshine is right there. All right, and I'm actually going to start with this larger angled brush just to get the stuff at the tops here. So I'm going to mix some blue, cerulean blue with white, and I'm going to mix in a little bit of that red, primary red color. And they're probably going to have different strengths, like depending on the brand. For example, that blue I just used is a much more strong pigment than the red that I use. So it's like this is a more expensive paint, so it's I had to use a lot more of that red than I would if they were the same brand. I would use less of that red. So not all paints are created equal. And I'm going to get the edge sides of the canvas here too, so this is going to take a bit more time, but it'll have a nice finished look that can be ready to display as soon as it's done. Just mixing in more and more white. All right, and I'm going to keep mixing in more white, just mixing it right in that same spot where I'm blending the paint there. Let me zoom out a bit for you. Right here. And we're just going to keep going. Now we're starting to make more of an arc shape. All right, I'm liking that. I'm going to start to add in a little bit of that orange-yellow color and some white and a little bit of crimson. A little bit more crimson. And that's going to go here. I need even more white though. It needs to be brighter. So I get like this kind of murky golden color. And I put that down on the painting there, and I'm kind of going all the way over to the side. So now I'm about halfway between the top of the canvas and this horizon line. So see, here's about halfway. Now that I got that on there, I'm going to get the extra paint off my brush. So I just twirl the brush around on my paper towel. I'm just going to take some more white with a little bit of that blue that's still in there and let this blend. So I'm going back and forth with the brush, not pressing very hard, just softly going back and forth, and that's letting it blend. And you really got to keep that soft brush stroke to keep the paint from like picking up and leaving streak marks. I don't like to have like streaky brush strokes where you can see like white because I push so hard. All right, just mixed in a little bit of magenta there. I want to have a little bit more pink over here. So it's really subtle. I'm not sure if the camera even catches it like my eye does. And I'm still just blending back and forth, going up and out into that blue to get a nice soft blend back and forth with the brush. The biggest mistake, most common mistake I see here with beginners is they have too much paint on their brush and then things don't blend. So if you feel like that's happening to you, things aren't blending and there's just like so much paint on your brush, just dab the extra paint off your brush, don't wash it off, and then go back over that spot and see if that'll blend a little more smoothly for you. All right, so that's down. Next, I'm going to take a little bit of my red orange with some white, and I'm going to put that right here. And I think that was a little too strong, so I'm going to mix in a little bit more white and magenta, and I'm going to mix in like a tiny bit of that bluish color too, because that'll help mute it down a bit. Yeah, that's better for sure. And this is going to come down close to the horizon. Remember, our sun is right around in here. I'm just going to do a little V there so we know where the sun is. And I'm going to work this up. All right, now I'm going to take the extra paint off my brush and just blend this up. Going to mix some more white and that orange yellow color. Just kind of go over this. Maybe some Naples yellow too. Yeah, that's nice. Go back and forth and then working my way up. So we're starting to get those nice warm but subtle colors in the clouds. And again, now I have too much paint on the brush, so I'm getting extra paint off. Going back and forth so I can blend it up. It's one of the nice things about these sunrise skies where we don't have a whole lot of cumulus clouds, like we just have a few really light, high up clouds. We have really smooth transitions for the colors in the sky. It's not super choppy. So that's one of the fun things about painting these types of skies. You get to paint this nice, smooth blend of color. So there I just used some Naples yellow and white to blend that up. And I'm pushing very gently with the, now we're going to focus more on this area. So I'm going to put away this brush and go back to that brush that I used to sketch out the concept. I want to make sure the brush is super clean here. Don't want any other colors on this brush, nice and clean. And now I'm going to take some of that lemon yellow and we're just going to put that right here. I'm going to mix it with some white. And just very gently pressing, letting it blend out to the other colors. Get the extra paint off my brush. I'm going to mix in a little bit of that orange yellow, some more white. And now this can blend up into our other colors in the sky. This just like really warms up everything. It just draws your eye right to this spot. And you want to get a nice smooth blend. You might have to press really gently to blend this out into your other colors. And take some more white, mix it in with a little bit of that orange color, and more white. I'm going to brighten this up even more up here. It's really, really bright. So I just took some pure white and put it right on the canvas to blend it in. Right on the canvas. Now I'm getting the extra paint off the brush. Let that blend up into the sky. Okay, that's looking good. And I'm going to switch to this brush, which is a #1 round brush. It's more like a #2 traditional American sizing. Okay, and then we're going to take some white, and I'm just going to blend that right in with my lemon yellow that's already on the canvas. Get the extra paint off my brush. One more white. Letting it blend with that yellow. And we have a couple little streaks in here from some really distant clouds, so I'm just using the brush to get that streaky look. And we've got a couple streaks way up high here that are like white with just a little hint of that orange color. Take a little bit more white. Yep, just like that. So we're just going to do our little, so if you want to add these clouds, you can, but you don't have to. I'm just really gently pressing. And once I get those down, I'm going to take all the paint off that brush and just kind of brush around the sides of it to soften up the edges a bit, give it like that cloud type of look. Got a couple more up here, a little cloud going that way, a couple clouds in here. Take some more pure white, and we'll just touch up a couple streaks on the clouds, brighten them up some more. It's a little speck of something over here, a little check mark. You just don't want to have any super harsh lines, so I'm softening everything up with the brush, going back and forth. Yeah, it looks nice. And then I want to lighten this area up a little bit more. I'm going to take some of that orange, yellow, and white and just go over this a little bit. Even more white, I think. It's really bright right in there. Blend that in. All right, that's looking really nice. Now I want to start to add a little bit more intense of the reddish color. So I'm going to use a flat tip brush again. It's nice and clean. I'm going to take some of that orange yellow with a little bit of the yellow orange. And we're just going to put this right in there. And I think that may have even been too strong, so I'm going to mix in some Naples yellow. And just let this come down pretty much to the horizon line there. And then I need this to softly blend into that yellow. So I'm going to mix white and my lemon yellow into what I had there. And I want to make sure I don't have too much paint on my brush. I'm going to blend this a little bit. Now I'm just going to take some pure yellow. A little bit of it got blended in with what I had there. This is definitely the trickiest part here because you're having a pretty harsh, the contrast is pretty harsh. To get that blend is a little bit more challenging than it was to blend the rest of the sky. So Might take a few tries, and if you make a mistake, you can always just let it dry and then paint over it. That's the beauty of acrylic painting. And if you're trying this in oil, good for you. You just will have to wait a little bit longer in between your drying before you can start to fix any mistakes. All right, I just added a little bit of magenta in here as we're getting farther out, and I'm blending this up using less and less pressure. Magenta and some white. Oh, get the extra paint off my brush. Let that blend. Take a little bit more of that red-orange color, just build that up some more again. And next I'm going to start to add even more magenta to my red-orange and some white to calm that down a bit. And this is going to go into my purple now. So I'm blending this. I'm going right down the horizon line now. All right, we're going to take some purple and some magenta and some white first. See how that looks. And then I want this to cool down some more. So I'm going to mix in a little bit of blue, the primary blue, or sorry, the cerulean blue. And I'm going to mix in some Naples yellow and a little bit more white and magenta. And a tiny bit of that lemon yellow just to kind of get the color a bit more, a little less saturated. All right, so I'm putting that color down. That looks nice. I'm going to carry that out on the sides. And we want that to blend up, but we're going to work on that in a bit here. First, I just want to get the color down. Go right to your horizon line. And then we're going to take some more white, a little more magenta, and a little bit of this primary red, a teeny bit of green. And some yellow-orange. And let's just get that to blend. Maybe we'll use a little bit of the red-orange too. And we'll get that to blend right here. Just got to soften that up. So I really barely pressing here. I want this to blend. This will work best if that reddish color is still wet. You may need to remix that color, reblend it, put some more down. And take a little bit of crimson, yellow, white. And let's do a little bit more of crimson and white. Just get like a nice pinkish color for right at the transition. Yeah, that looks nice. Make sure you don't have any streaks. You want to have nice, good, soft blending of color here. All right, and then as we're moving back down to that purple color, I'm just going to add more ultramarine blue and white so we can get that section that's right at the horizon line. It gets really hazy, even more blue and white. Maybe a little bit of our cerulean blue as well. Just right by that horizon line. And a little bit more of our red Blend that together. Just very softly pressing, letting that blend. All right, that looks nice. And you tend to get more purple and blue, cooler as you get away from the sun. So I'm mixing in more of that blue and white over here as we're getting really far away. Mixing in a little bit of red and yellow too. It gets kind of like brownish blue. Then we need like a nice brownish transition here. So I'm mixing a little bit of that red orange with my blue, a little bit of purple. And we'll get a nicer soft transition there. Use a little bit of that primary red, some of my yellow, red, orange, yellow, yellow, orange, a little bit more of my red, orange. And I'll just kind of carry that out. Mix a little more white into there. Let it blend. And then blend down. Back and forth with the brush, again trying to achieve that nice soft blend. Just want to make sure I don't have any streaks or blotches of paint. I want to have nice soft blends. Okay. Looking pretty good, minus that one spot right there. Just gonna touch that up. Some more Naples and letting that blend out. Taking more yellow and white. Softening that edge up. And we could take some pure yellow. A couple spots there. Let that blend. All right, got that area all ready to put in the sun. So now we're just going to clean off that brush, get some pure white, and put a nice little circle right there. And voila, we have a beautiful little sunrise. And I just want to soften that up a little bit. Now, moving on to the water. So I'm going to start with my larger angled brush. A lot of the same colors that are in the sky are going to be in the water. So let's start with white, a little bit of that cerulean blue. And let's do a little bit of magenta. And I think I want a little more cerulean blue, maybe even a tiny bit of that phthalo green. Yeah, that's a nice color. All right, and we'll just put this right down here at the bottom. Think about where the sun is. I'm just going to mix a little bit more purple over here. Go right up to that horizon line that we put in. There we go. And that area right at the horizon line actually has green and purple. But it's only visible on like the outer parts of the canvas. All right, there we are. And we have a little bit of this kind of color with a little bit of crimson and a little bit more phthalo green. Down in here we've got some little ripples, so I'm just going to put those in there. And then I'm going to clean off the brush. And now I'm going to add some of these warmer colors that we have. So going back to that like red orange with white, a little bit of magenta in there. That's what I'm going to start adding here. And it works really well if you work quickly while your paint is still wet, because see what's happening here is I'm getting this nice blend and I'm dragging the paint back and forth, and it's giving that look of waves or ripples on the water. And you don't want to have a super soft blend here. In some spots it's nice to have, but in other spots you want more of that streaky look, and that'll give you more of the nice ripply water look. Okay, carrying that out to the sides. And now we're going to work on this area some more. I'm going to do a little bit more purple actually. Purple and magenta. I'm just going to put little bits of that in here. Really gently pressing just to get a couple little ripples to show the reflection of that purplish cloud stuff. And as you're painting your ripples in, they're going to get a little closer together and a little smaller as they're getting farther away from you, like closer to that horizon line. All right, that looks nice. And now I'm going to switch to that smaller liner brush, and I'm going to do a little bit of our red orange with Naples yellow. And start to add some bright streaks of light reflecting on the water. And these little streaks of light are getting bigger, so like shaped like that, like getting bigger as they're coming closer to the viewer here. All right, that looks nice. And we're gonna have some yellow with Naples yellow and primary yellow, or lemon yellow and white. And these are going to go on some of these orangish ones. And then we're going to take some white just a little lemon yellow and brighten this up. Do a few of them that are really bright with that lemon yellow and white. Just carry those down. And just some pure white too for a few. A couple little dabs there. That looks nice. And we're gonna have a few more of these orange, pinkish ones. So I'm just gonna mix a little bit of that orange with some magenta, maybe a tiny bit of the blue color. And just draw a few more of these little ripples coming out. I use a little bit more of that purple right around here. Looking good. And then the last thing, we just have this nice little grassy wetland here. So I'm just going to mix a little bit of my phthalo green, mix that in with that orange color. I'm going to put some of this right in here. And we're going to mix a little bit of crimson, or that's our primary red, with a little bit of the cerulean blue. Just put a couple little dabs of that nice shadow color, maybe a little ultramarine mixed in there. And the shadow in the water is a little deeper right there, so I'm mixing in my cerulean blue with purple and white, and we're going to have just a little bit of that color right there. Going to blend that back and forth a little bit with my other water. Go up and down and back and forth. Okay. And then I'm going to take my little liner brush again, and I'm going to take some Naples yellow, mix it there with a little bit more of that green. And we'll just start to put a few, let's do a little more green. Yellow and green. And I'll just do a few little blades of grass in here. And just taking the brush and putting all these little lines of grass. We can warm that up a bit more with some of that red-orange color, more Naples. Because some of these grass blades are going to be pretty warm from the sunlight. All right, and that is a finished painting, guys. If you have recommendations for future painting tutorials, leave a comment below and let me know what you'd like to see. Thanks for watching this tutorial, guys. I hope you enjoyed this one. Have a wonderful day and happy painting. Bye-bye.